In communication with Southern California, KHJ-TV Public Affairs presents Teen Talk. One of every 3 marriages ends in divorce. The parents of approximately 1 million youngsters under 18 divorced last year. The number one reason couples split up is their inability to talk honestly with each other. 4 out of 5 people who divorce marry again, usually within 3 to 5 years.
A teenager was recently asked, "What do you feel is the number one reason for divorce?" The youngster looked up without a second's hesitation and answered, "That's easy, of course. It's marriage." Research tells us that the number one practical reason for divorce is the lack of money and areas related to money. And the chief emotional reason is the lack of communication between couples. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein, and this is Teen Talk. Today we're going to discuss how young people cope with divorce and what a difficult trauma it is in their lives. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. I'm wondering, what was your first reaction when you
Teen
discovered
Talk on
that your
divorce.
parents wanted
A discussion
divorce?
with host Joe Feinstein and several young people on the subject of divorce.
And I cried, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't think this can't be happening to my parents.
This can't be happening to my parents or to me, I guess. You were feeling very down. Okay. Sherry, what did you do when you discovered this?
It was hidden from me for a long time, and I always thought, my parents had a really good marriage, and when I found out, I was shocked too, and my sister's the one that told me. We had found out before my parents told us.
Mm-hmm.
And when they told us, we were prepared, but still, we couldn't stop crying, but things have worked out okay.
How many years ago was this for you?
3 years.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Aaron? How did you react?
Well, I was about 6 years old then, and so I didn't know what was going on a whole bunch, but, when I finally understood, it was kind of hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't understand it a whole bunch, so.
Okay, so the understanding at 6 is a little bit difficult to understand something about that.
Yeah, they just said Dad and Mommy were going to separate, and you'd have to live with one of us, and
Gina, how many years ago was it for you?
12.
12 years
12
ago.
years.
So you were a kidnik also, like Aaron. How did you react? Do you remember that?
I don't remember it being a sudden realization. I remember just having my dad leave and not be allowed to come into our house anymore. And that pretty much gave me some idea that something was happening.
And were you worried about it?
Yeah, I was scared. I was really scared.
You were scared. What else were your reactions about this time? Harvey, how did you handle that news?
My parents were divorced about 9 years ago, and
I think that was about right. My divorce, you just said
yeah,
my divorce.
it is. It feels like you're part of it. It really does. But my father wasn't around that much to begin with, and I'd always wait for him to come home so I could kiss him goodnight just before I went to bed. When he left, it was as though he just wasn't there anymore, as he was beforehand. He just didn't show up as much. And I really didn't get to thinking about it until I was older, and have done a lot of thinking about it the last 3 or 4 years.
And what seems to surface for you and bubble up there as you think about their divorce?
That I got cheated out of some things that I wanted to have during my teen years, my early teen years, that I thought were important for my growth.
Right.
And it's not something that I can really blame on my father, because he wanted to make a decision that was best for him to get divorced from my mother. So I tried the best, and he's tried the best to help us get along, and I think we get along really well now.
Feeling cheated was Harvey's feeling. What was your feeling, Jessica?
I really don't remember how I felt because I was really young. It was 10 years ago, and I feel really bad. In a way, I felt it was my fault.
Your fault? How is that?
I don't know. I just remember them arguing all the time, and I'd always think that they were arguing about something that I did or something. But
that's a very normal reaction. Young people tend to feel that they are the cause of their parents' divorce, And that would be a very normal kind of thing to be thinking. Julie, what are you thinking about right now?
That I didn't feel like I was the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. It was just non-communication. That's what I heard over and over, non-communication. They didn't fight. It was just, they didn't talk.
They didn't fight. They didn't talk. Pamela, what
Well,
was...
I was like really young. I was like about 4 and a half. And my mom, sister, and I, we went on a trip to Oregon. When we came back, my dad was living in another apartment. And then we got another house very soon afterward. And ever since I can remember, my mom and dad have been living apart. And we see my dad like once a week or sometimes twice a week.
What goes on inside of you?
Well, in a way, I think that I'm missing out by not having my father living with me all the time, you know. And I don't think I know him as well as I could, you know. Like as with my mom, I'm pretty close with my mom because I live with her all the time, you know, and see her every day and stuff. With my dad, I don't see him that often, you know. I mean, I still say hi and stuff, but it's not that of an intimate relationship.
A news item out of Kansas tells us that 2 boys in Wichita decided they wanted their rights protected at the time of their parents' divorce trial, so they hired an attorney who charged them $1 to argue their case to remain with their father. And I'm wondering, panel, what do you think of this idea? And did you get the chance to remain with the parent of your choice? Aaron?
Well, I wasn't at any of the trials, and they just said, you're going to be with your mother. And I don't know about those guys who hired the lawyer, but I don't think I would do that. But
Well, usually children under 13, 12, 13, are given over into the custody of the mother, unless the mother decides that she doesn't want to keep them. Children over 11, 12 years of age are sometimes sent to marriage counselors like myself for the purpose of deciding. I and the children and the parents decide where the best interests of the children are, and I make a recommendation to the court and help them decide where to place the child. Did you get a chance to stay with the parent of your choice, Sherry?
Yeah, we had my sister and brother and I were all asked, you know, where we wanted to stay and for how long. And it got decided that my sister and I would stay with my mom most of the time, and my brother split up the time half and half. And everything's worked out pretty well.
It has.
Yeah, but with the kids, I think that that's a good idea that, you know, they're fighting it because, you know, I know about the law about, well, usually the mother gets custody, and that's not always right because, you know, it's not always sure that the mother's the best parent.
Okay. Did you get to stay with the parent of your choice, Julie?
It was decided my brother would go with my dad and I would go with my mom. I was fine with it. You know, that was fine with me.
Did you wish it was sometimes a different kind of
Sometimes,
thing?
yeah, sometimes I do.
And then what do? Do you tell your mom? Do you tell your dad?
No,
No?
no.
It doesn't sound like there's too much open communication with you two at times.
There is with my mom. But I'm happy living with my mom.
You are happy living with your mom. Okay. Have you guys made peace with the fact that your parents are divorced? Have you accepted the fact that their marriage is over, or do you have that wish that they'd sometimes get back together again? No, never.
No, because my parents have been divorced for so long, and when they get together, I mean, they're nice enough and they talk, you know, and stuff, but I can tell that they couldn't really live together good, you know, that it is the best for both of them because they can go their own separate ways, and they're still friends, and my dad still comes over and stuff, and they still talk, and they talk about us, and he cares about us and stuff. But I couldn't imagine them living together. I would be against it if they wanted to get back together, really.
Really?
Yes, I mean, I just couldn't imagine it. It sounds so dumb, you know. Because really, it's weird, because they're just totally separate people, because I never really remember them living together and being married.
Jessica, are you happy with are you accepting the idea that this is all over for those two people? Their marriage is over?
Yeah. It seems to me now like that they're two different people. They're totally different.
In what way?
Their personalities and everything, they just don't seem alike to me at all. And if they're not alike, I don't see how they could be together.
If they're not alike, you don't see how they could be together. That's very profound. That's a neat single statement if you think about it. What about you, Harvey?
Well, I think I realized it really quickly after their divorce because my father moved out of state far away and I would only see him once a year, if that at all. So when I did go to see him and I didn't see my mother or my brothers around, or if they were with me, they were with me. But not seeing my mother around and being in my father's company, I knew that they were no longer going to be married. For a long time, I did want them to get back together, and I did talk to my mother about it, but she said that they were just two different personalities and couldn't get back together like that. And both of them have told me that they grew apart from each other years before their divorce and just went their separate ways.
Do you guys remain neutral with this whole issue of your parents' divorce, or do you really find yourself taking sides a little bit? Gina?
In the beginning, since my dad wasn't allowed to come in the house, and I can remember babysitters not letting my dad come in when he would sneak around the house, and that would scare me. Being little and your dad has to sneak around and can't see you, give you presents through the mailbox, and
Must have been very frightening for you to know that my father's outside and he's like a bad man, a non-accepted man in my life, that there's all kinds of things. I must be afraid of him. Does that persist yet today?
Well, no. Today he lives in Mexico City, and it's sad for me because I don't really know him, and there's old feelings about not having a dad, you know, not being able to. I remember friends of mine had their dad, and they would be. I've always been into lots of athletics, so lucky I had two brothers, because I guess that's maybe a reason why I moved toward being so athletic, because my dad wasn't there to do all the active things my mom never was into.
Is it possible that you're going to really have to sit down with your father one of these days and let him know all of these fears and these frustrations and these agonies that you've gone through and make some peace with that whole situation?
Yeah, I really need to make the peace within me, really, because sometimes I will just shove it down and say, well, it's okay, he's far away, I see him once a year, and that's just the way it is. But the turmoil inside, I can't hold it in anymore. I have to really face what it means.
I really hear it coming through right now, and I really hear how frustrating it must be for you to go day after day, because I know what a sensitive person you are, and getting some of this stuff out is terribly important. I mean, if communication is the problem with the adults, then we've got to bridge some of that gap. We've got to stop it, you know? And I just don't know how we're going to do it. I guess you're just going to have to handle that one.
Well, we just have to let it come up and not reject that we're feeling things. Just face what we're feeling and go through it, not hold it down, because it's always going to be there anyways. Might as well face it.
The Chinese character for the word crisis is made up of two symbols. One of the symbols signifies despair, and the second signifies opportunity. And I'm thinking, panel, do you feel that this would be a good definition for the word divorce also? Despair and opportunity. Harvey?
I think so, undoubtedly, because it has its negative aspects where you have the fighting and the yelling, and one brother goes to the father and your other brother stay with your mother. But you have to make good things happen out of bad things, and I think that for myself, I've had a lot of good things happen. I've had a lot of freedom because my mother's had to work full time, and then I've had two other brothers and she can't devote all her time to us and make us feel as though we're being taken care of right. So I've had a lot of freedom to do just about what I want, and I feel I've done a lot of growing inside, maturing that wouldn't normally take place.
Well, knowing you as I do, I think you're probably right. You are a very mature and a very sensitive young man, and I think maybe some of that did emerge as a result of
I think
that sad problem.
I think it was responsible for it.
Aaron, despair and opportunity. Is that a good definition for divorce?
Yeah, I've gotten to know like my mom a lot after these, and like my dad, it's like I miss him sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the despair part. And then when I live with my mom, you know, it's just.
You know what's nice? It's nice not only to love your parents, but it is like you say, I like my mother.
But I also like my father.
I'm glad. And liking them is equally important, as well as the loving part. Pam, you think despair and opportunity is a good title for divorce?
Yeah, I think it's a good definition of it, because despair, like when people get divorced, even though they know it's for the better, there's still a lot of hurt inside. And the opportunity, it comes from after you grow up from the despair, and after you've grown out of it, you have the opportunity to become more of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that opportunity is also for the kids too, because since they don't have both parents living, usually they get closer to the
Talk
person they're
about
living
yourself.
with.
Talk about yourself. It's most important.
Okay, well, good, because that's what I was saying, because I'm very much closer to my mom than I think I might not have been if both my parents were together. And I think it's also, you have more freedom too, because I feel that my life would be more strict if my dad was living with us. He would.
Is it possible that your parents' divorce could just happen to have a really positive action and reaction on their life as well as on yours?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're getting yes. Julie, what's yeah for you?
Well, my parents, definitely. They're both so much happier. You know, my dad's gotten remarried and he's so much happier. And my mom's into all this other stuff and she's really happy. And sure, there's been despair.
We don't have time to go into all that other stuff that your mom is into, but that's all right. Go ahead.
On my part, there's been despair, but generally, it was really definitely a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Jessica?
I really do think it was a good thing for all of us, because now they both are remarried and have more children, and it's a better thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, to me it seems like that I don't know how to say it, that they're happy, well, that they're happier now a lot, but it seems like their lives have changed so much for the better that.
Yeah, sometimes people really need to, you know, the reasons, the very ways that when I got married 27 years ago, and the things that I was looking for in my bride of when she was 17 years old, 18 years old, and I was 22, 23, it's not the same way any longer in terms of what I need or I want. And there's a question of, you know, growing together and growing and mellowing out, which is really important. What do you guys see as the ingredients for a successful divorce? What makes a successful divorce, Sherry?
That all the children are happy and the divorce was for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think everybody should be happy.
Everybody should be happy. That's a hard one to see, but you know, I understand. Gina, what do you think makes for a successful divorce?
Successful, the word, it sounds like it has money connotation. But a divorce, if it's going to happen, then it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone just has to see whatever they see from it. It couldn't happen another way, or else there wouldn't be a divorce.
Well, I know, but I'm thinking, what are the ingredients that make your mom and your dad, who don't like each other and don't want each other any longer, to be okay about the realization that you are still their son or their daughter? You know, that's an important ingredient. Julie, your parents are successfully divorced?
No.
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 Because?
They don't talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the worst part of it for me. That's the worst, is that they don't talk and they're not friendly. They're not friends, and that's what I think is the most important. Friendship and caring.
Mm-hmm.
They need to care about each other.
They need to care about each other even though
Though they
they're
are
not together.
Yeah, for the kids'
Definitely.
benefit.
Yeah, they have to seem.
Not only for the kids' benefit,
For their
but
benefit.
for theirs.
And they were married for a while.
Yeah,
and
so
they
they
did
at
love
least
each
Had
should
to
other.
talk
have
and
some love.
try to be friends.
You can't just forget
Not
those
just,
feelings.
I don't
Especially
like
if they
you
made a
anymore
long
type thing.
It would be nice, I think, maybe if the schools could just do a little bit more in helping people learn how to relate better together. That might be a good course to be offered everywhere because relationships do matter, don't they?
Yeah.
And successful relationships are hard to come by. Are your parents successfully divorced?
I think so because they're people within themselves, being that they're apart. My father lives in Seattle, and I thought my father made a very nice gesture. My mother had surgery about a year and a half ago, and he came down from Seattle to look after us and to visit her in the hospital. And I thought that showed that he really cared about her still, even though that at times she will say things about him that I don't appreciate. But I know that they still care for each other, and they still consider each other friends.
As you can see from my illustrious panel, a successful divorce is still one with communication and caring, though separate and apart. Two books I want to recommend to all of you is The Kid's Book of Divorce, edited by Eric Rolfs, and How to Get It Together When Your Parents Are Coming Apart by Arlene Richards. Panel, you were super in helping us understand a lot of the problems about divorce. This is Joe Feinstein for Teen Talk saying we will see you very, very soon.